This is the Surly Grognards for July 6th, 2015. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right.
Allergies not killing you too badly?
Not too badly.
Excellent. Thankfully. Yeah, so we took a week off last week so that Eric could be less killed by his allergies.
Hooray!
And this week we're going to continue on the trend of talking about genres of games and various things that Eric loves. And this time we're dipping into one that I like almost as much as Eric does, because we're talking about Mecha.
Yay, giant robots!
Yeah, giant robots are pretty freaking cool.
They are the best.
They're high up on the list.
No, they are the best. This is a science fact.
Eric and I have had our long-going debate, which is more awesome, Mecha or giant spaceships of doom.
Mecha,
And
clearly.
Told
You, science fact.
I'll take the giant spaceships of doom for 500, Alex.
You cannot stand against science. I declared it that it's a science fact, therefore it is. That's how these things work.
Right, sure, Eric. Sure it does. But we're not going to talk about that debate today because, A, neither of us will convince the other of our point of view because it just won't happen. We know this.
Because it won't happen. Yeah.
And B, we both love the thing that the other guy loves also, so...
It's true.
Uh-huh. And honestly, I mean, I love Mecha. Mecha are really cool. I have a preference for style of Mecha overall, but I think that's partially due to my sort of... Well, actually, it's not due to my introduction to the concept of Mecha. So I introduced into the... I was about to say I've got a preference for the more sort of military style mecha type stuff, like BattleTech. Weirdly, I'm not a big fan of the Gundam series, though.
I can see that. It occasionally decides to crawl up its own ass.
I don't. It's not even that I dislike it. I just never got into. I never really got into it. I kind of bounced off of it.
That happens to me a lot with things that I should like,
right?
But I don't like professional wrestling. I should love professional wrestling,
but you just bounce off of it.
Yeah, nope.
The only reason I was able I've got into. I mean, I started watching professional wrestling when I was a kid, and it's always just been part. It's a nostalgia thing for me, and also I'm enough of a martial arts fan and fan of sort of that sort of stuff that I really do get an immense enjoyment of the actual physical theater of it.
Yeah, exactly. I should love it. It's got a fucking wizard necromancer.
Who's undead.
Who's undead. And I was like, I should love this. Why am I not enjoying it? Oh, well.
Because honestly, because professional wrestling is also, while it's awesome, it is also stupid.
Yes.
Which is part of the reason I love it.
Stupid, though.
The problem is it's occasionally the wrong kind of stupid.
Yeah. When it's the right kind of stupid, it is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But most of the time, it's the wrong kind of stupid.
I facepalm a lot watching it, I admit it. But I put up with it for the moments of just sheer glorious awesomeness. But we're not talking about pro wrestling today because...
No, we're talking about giant fucking robots.
These giant fucking robots are
which
awesome.
Everyone is legally required to love.
Yeah, sure, whatever. No, I got into... I first discovered giant robots with the... during the early 80s, because I'm old.
You and me both.
Right. A bunch of anime had been there's a big, I got into anime entirely in the 70s when they imported Yamato over to the States called Star Blazers. And they imported a bunch of other anime a bit later than that, some of which was good, and some of which was good and translated not completely badly. And some of it was Battle for the Planets, aka Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. Wow.
Oh wow, that was really an abomination.
It's amazing how much people talk about
why do you have Hanna-Barbera style teens hang out with a Gatchaman and a goddamn R2-D2 clone why would you do that?
Oh, 7 Zark 7. It's that's the thing about Battle for the Planets is before we go any further on Mecha, is they brought it over. It's translated badly, and they introduced an entirely new character for no good reason other than We need a robot sidekick because robot sidekicks are cool.
Yeah.
What? What? But it's a different. The animation style and art style is completely different.
They had the whole like friggin' like teen cartoon like thing going on. Also, like that was so in vogue with Hanna-Barbera at the time.
Oh my god, they just.
It was just terrible. Like Science Team Gatchaman, I've seen it. It's actually not that bad. Battle for the Planets fucking sucks balls.
I kind of enjoyed it when I was a kid, but even then I sort of was thinking, like, this is stupid. But cool giant spaceship, but this is stupid. And I've since seen Gatchaman, I'm like, wow, this is fucking dark.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome.
Yeah! Like, some of the shit that happens to the characters in Gatchaman is like, oh my god.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I did eventually. But I remember tracking it down years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's tough to say what my first experience with giant robots was because Transformers and Robotech were both sort of in the same area of my childhood.
Yeah, I can tell you what mine were. Because it happened about the same time. Robotech was around.
Oh yeah, and Voltron.
Yeah, Robotech and Voltron were around, but they weren't the ones that hit me first.
Mm.
The ones that hit me first were twofold. One was Tranzor Z, otherwise known as Manzinger, which is the Japanese version. And
Yep, I remember Tranzor Z.
And I enjoyed Tranzor Z. I enjoyed the fuck out of Tranzor Z.
Yeah, Tranzor Z was pretty cool. A giant robot.
And the other was Guy King.
I vaguely remember Guy King because at the big fucking robot dragon.
Yep, and that was what got me completely hooked on that one.
Yeah. But it was sort of this thing that was on, like, before Robotech. So it was the thing you watched in anticipation of Veritex and Zentradi.
Well, you see, it was on, Guy King was part of the Force 5 thing.
Yep.
So
which I vaguely remember.
Yeah, they had 5 shows that they did. 5 anime they brought over, showed in chunks, and they rotated which ones per day. Like Monday was, I forget, Guy King was Fridays. That's the only one I remember.
Right.
Off the top of my head. And most of those I liked. I liked Dangarde Ace. Grandizer was good.
I remember Grandizer. Yep.
Star Vengers, which is otherwise known as Get a Robo. I liked at the time. Gone back and tried to watch it since. Ooh, boy, does not stand the test of time. And the Space Cateers, which I don't know the name of the original Japanese one, but I hated that one then, and it's really fucking stupid.
Yeah, the Space Cateers I remember as a thing, but they really kind of bounced off me.
There's a reason for that.
Which tells you just how bad it was.
It wasn't a robot show, but...
It wasn't a robot show, but it was Japanese animation, which I didn't know was from Japan at the time. I just knew it was better than Hanna-Barbera's shit.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was, we've talked about before being how blown away I was by Star Blazers and how much better it was than everything else on television at the time.
No shit. Like, between Star Blazers and Robotech, like, why would you watch anything else?
Like, any other cartoons, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually Transformers came out, and that was cool.
Yeah, I remember when Transformers came out, and, man, I love the fuck out of Transformers.
Transformers is great. I loved Transformers.
But but it couldn't hold a candle against Robotech, because Robotech, there are fucking consequences in Robotech.
Yep.
And their jets transformed into robots that you got to drive around.
I
blew my 5-year-old mind.
I was a bit older because I'm a bit older than Eric, and I loved Robotech also. Again, I was more of a Star Blazers guy, but Robotech was pretty cool, and Global was almost as cool as Captain Avatar.
I will fight you to the death over that. Global had bridge bunnies, man.
Avatar was the man, and that's all I'm going to say. Avatar saved the world while dying of radiation poisoning.
Bridge bunnies.
Pure badassitude. Anyways. Again, Global's fucking awesome, don't get me wrong.
I cannot speak ill of Captain Avatar. He was pretty boss.
I mean, these are two of the great sci-fi captains of all time. In my
they really are. They really deserve their place alongside like Kirk, Picard, and Cisco.
Absolutely.
And they get to wear very stylish long coats and hats.
Oh God, yes. And I will say this: Yamato 2199, like Okita just gets to be even like Okita
Yeah,
gets to be even more awesome, which is like, well, fuck. Love him.
that
He's
is
awesome.
yeah.
But we're talking giant
We're
robots.
talking about talking giant robots. Like,
So we have to talk about Global because Global is the fucking man.
yeah, because Captain Global is just this like big Russian guy in a long coat and a hat with a beard, who smokes a pipe and sits at his freaking command console, surrounded by bridge bunnies, doing everything for him, just being awesome, making like all the correct command decisions when he's surrounded by fucking idiots.
Yeah, he has one really smart person who's working for him, in Lisa Hayes.
Yeah, because Lisa Hayes was
Amazing.
God damn it, fucking Rick. Why were you even tempted by Min May?
Closer in age, I think, is basically it.
I guess, but she was so dumb.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No,
you had Claudia, too. Claudia was pretty competent.
She was, yes. Most of the Bridge Bunnies were pretty smart, actually, and good at their jobs.
But it really was... I'm more referring to the civilians, which he did the right thing and keeps them safe, keeps them happy, keeps them locked up in the fucking cargo bay.
Yeah. But yeah, Robotech... I think, Eric, though, when you're talking about the transform and being able to pilot thing, I think that's the sort of reason I think Mecha resonates so well. Is because it's not just that they're giant robots. They're giant robots
Transformers are cool, and they transform to other things, but you don't get to drive them around.
But it's not even the transforming part that's the important bit. It's
true, because look at Gundams. Gundams are awesome. Not as cool as Zaku, which are pimp. But...
yeah, sadly, the Gundams are far more badass.
Yes. But, it's you get to sit in the cockpit of this giant walking death machine carrying, like, an Armageddon's worth of armament. And it's just this massive, like... It's like sitting in an avatar of your rage.
Yep. It depends on the pilot, but yes. That's the thing I love about a lot of the anime, though, is that, like, the mecha often reflect the pilot.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
And it further sort of, identifies the... I think it further sort of solidifies the character, and, and the mecha becomes sort of a personification of their pilot.
Right.
Which makes it much easier to identify with the mechs and the pilots and all that stuff.
I'm reminded of Gundam Wing, which was my first Gundam series, I'm ashamed to say.
Okay.
It's not one of the best, but, like, all the mechs reflect the inner workings of the pilots.
Right.
Because they have what their personas they project to the world. But, like, say, I can't remember the kid's name. It was something stupid, like Duo or whatever. Like, really, really cheerful, outgoing kind of guy. But the dude had a dark side like a motherfucker. Like, he was a goddamn nihilist deep down inside. Which is why he piloted the giant cloaked mech with the giant energy scythe.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that sort of thing, you can see that reflected in, like, almost every sort of mecha show that you see. Another great example of that was Code Geass.
Yes.
Like, every single one of the, like, named Nightmare frames, like, completely reflect their pilots.
Yes. Like, the two that Zero pilot are just big static projections of power.
Right. Yeah, they're like weirdly support oriented, except almost invincible.
Yes, they sit back and they provide tremendous amounts of fire support, and they don't actually move a lot.
Right. Whereas
meanwhile, you've got the
Callan's Nightmare.
Yeah, the red one, which I can't remember what it's called.
I can't either.
And the Lancelot, both of which are goddamn friggin' robot ninjas.
Right, but Callan's all about short-range brutality.
Yeah, she comes in hard and she makes things dead.
Right.
While Suzaku spins.
Yes.
I swear, that man can't fight without pulling off at least a triple rotation spin kick.
And that's the thing, like, all the named Nightmare frames all really do reflect their pilots brilliantly. and it's really neat. And I will agree with a lot of people that season 2 is not as good as season 1 of Code Geass.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
I rewatched season 2 not long ago and was like, wow, this is not nearly as good as I remember.
No, season 2 is flawed. The ending is basically the only ending that makes sense for the way the show is going. Like, what happens to Lelouch is exactly what is supposed to happen to Lelouch.
Right.
It's very clear. Like when the reveal happens, like, oh, yeah, that clearly has been his plan from day one.
Yeah. But like, fucking the little brother, the pseudo little brother that gets injected into the story for no good fucking reason.
Yeah.
The fucking like first 2 episodes, it just rehashes the first 2 episodes from the previous season.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of. Season 2 was not nearly as. There was some good stuff in season 2, but
Yeah,
it was just
certainly.
a much weaker series.
It was clearly something went off the rails, and I haven't bothered to do the research to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, something clearly went off the rails in season 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it sucks. It's just that it's a lot of wasted potential. That's my problem with it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I still enjoyed the show. But again,
Enjoyed it a lot more the first time around.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that completely.
Although the first season of Code Geass is pretty awesome, and I'd leave it at that if it weren't for the fucking cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like seriously, like it's like, oh, this is great, and major cliffhanger. Okay, well, I guess I'll definitely watch season 2. Oh.
Well, this could have been so much better.
Yeah.
It doesn't suck, but there's a lot of wasted potential here, guys.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can't talk about giant robots without talking about the goddamn Gundam, the big granddaddy of them all.
Well, the one that looms over everything else. It's not the actual granddaddy of them all is definitively Manzinger, but
I would say it's probably Giant Robo, but that's not actually a mech. Now,
right. I'm talking about the mecha stuff. Manzinger was the first.
Right. You're correct.
And but I would agree with you. Like basically, sort of the ones that the one that everyone is aware of is definitively.
Yeah, what is it? The RX insert number here Gundam. And yeah, here's the thing about Gundam series in general. I almost always find the opposing grunt mechs to be more interesting aesthetically, at least.
I can see that.
Like the Zaku, the drab green Cyclops with an axe and a machine gun. Mm-hmm. That thing looks really cool.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
I would love to have me one of those.
Not surprised. I do love the aesthetics of some of the for me, I think part of that is part of it is that the opposing faction look more like an legit military.
Yes,
and I think that sort of harkens back to my love of BattleTech,
which is a great world and a fun. Yeah, I like BattleTech. I love BattleTech, honestly.
Yep.
And it's an entirely different aesthetic from your typical.
Oh, absolutely.
Japanese.
It's very Western because the battle mechs are not these smooth, fast, agile things. They're these lumbering engines of destruction.
Right. They sort of.
They're walking tanks.
Yeah, and it's sort of these great examples of the difference between the Japanese and American idea of the projection of power. With Japanese mechs, they're typically like quick, agile, like just an extension of the pilot's body, really.
Right.
Capable of doing things that are ridiculous. In BattleTech, that these giant, like, armored juggernauts that grind forward, laying down withering artillery fire until they get close enough to punch you.
Right. And part of that also is just the nature of the medium, in that BattleTech is about it's a war game first.
Yes.
And so it's trying to get that feel. Whereas with the anime, part of the reason that they have the mecha are so represented, the pilot so individualistic and so fluid, is because they're representations of the pilot. They're actually almost characters into themselves.
Right.
Onto themselves.
Well, in BattleTech, they're just hardware.
Right. Exactly.
And again, this comes into the some interesting stuff I remember reading ages ago about the differences between Japanese and the sword. The sword is an extension of you. It's a part of you. And America and the gun. The gun is the tool that you use to enforce your will. Any gun will do. The individual one doesn't matter.
Yeah. And that's definitely there. And
Yeah.
I adore BattleTech to pieces, because again, it's sort of, as I discovered Mecha through Robotech and Menzinger and Guy King and all that stuff, but I didn't really sort of fall head over. I didn't really sort of fully lock into them until I started playing until I discovered BattleTech, I should say.
Mm.
And I think that's because I was in a phase where I was really starting to enjoy sort of wargaming, and that's where I got into wargaming really.
Right.
And it's sort of while I love anime and such, it's sort of a secondary love for me to a certain degree. I mean, I do really enjoy it, but I'm not like as passionate about it as some people are.
No, I totally get that. I watch a lot of anime, but I'm not as obsessive as some people
Sure.
out there. Not even close, really. I just watch a lot of anime.
Well, you watch more than I do. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's because I'm a cartoon junkie. I watch
Right.
a lot. If it's animated, I'll at least give it a shot.
right. You're big into you're more of an artist than I am. I mean, let's be
Right.
honest here.
But yeah, and yes, and I had a point, and now I completely lost. It's lost. It's gone.
Oh,
What was it? I don't know. Something
Uh,
about individual robots and
individual
whatnot.
robots and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is there is some individuality in the mechs in BattleTech if you read the novels and such.
Yes, that's what I was going to. Yeah, and it's in the flavor. It's not uncommon for mech warriors to name their mechs.
Right.
In fact, you're considered kind of crazy if you don't.
Yeah, and part of that
It's
is
like-
that.
It's like not naming your steed when you're a knight.
Well, that's the thing is that the big comparison people make, especially in early BattleTech novels, is that the mech warriors are sort of almost the sort of equivalent of Western knights,
Yes.
and their battle mechs are their steeds. So they care about them. They are important to them, but they are not the. They're not the sort of.
They're not a part of them.
Right. Exactly.
That's my favorite sword. That's my favorite horse. Don't fuck with it.
Right. Exactly. Now, part of it is that at the early parts of BattleTech, like these mechs are been handed down across generations
Yes.
because they're coming out of a dark age and are really just beginning to figure out how to actually build the damn things again.
Which is an aspect I always really liked. Like the couple of mech warrior tabletop RPGs I've played. Like, yeah, the mech is a family heirloom, and it is my job to keep it from getting blown up.
Right.
Like, in particular, the one you ran,
Right.
where we completely ditched the actual mech warrior character generation just with the GURPS.
Yep.
I was playing a character that's like, this atlas is my family's atlas. I am entrusted with it. It does not belong to me. It is a family heirloom. Doesn't matter. The only original piece of it is that chip of dashboard. It is my job to keep it from getting blown up.
Right. Pieces of it have been destroyed or broken and been replaced over the centuries.
Yes. Because it was like 350 years old by the time the game started.
Right. And that's one of the really fascinating things about BattleTech, honestly, is the whole sort of weird Dark Age thing, and like the fact they're crawling out of the Dark Age into the Renaissance, and but yet it's still this really high tech world.
Yeah, and that's really kind of cool. It's a weird techno Dark Age. Which is why it makes such a great like post-apocalyptic setting.
It kind of is, yeah.
Because everyone starts figuring out like, oh yeah, that's how you make a wheel.
Not
Then
quite
if we get enough wheels and cut teeth into them, we make gears, which turn into giant robots.
Yeah, I mean the problems with the battle mechs is like they've got the factories that build a lot of stuff, but they don't understand some of the technology early on. Like
Yeah.
Like, the power plants, these fusion plants, they're like,
Fucking magic. Like, it's magic.
And there's a group in the BattleTech universe that honestly are presenting all this technology as magic, as magic, and they have this whole cult of technology almost, and it's
The anti-foundation.
They are the. I realized that at one point that the.
I got that from you, actually.
Yeah, the Comstar is the anti-foundation, in that they are trying. The Foundation in the Foundation novels by Asimov. Basically, they are a group of scientists that have been stuck off into the fringes of the galaxy to preserve technology and eventually reintroduce it, and they start cloaking things in a mind of religion
and occultism.
And occultism. But that's that's there to get a foothold so they can come in and then reveal that it's actually just technology.
Yeah, it's science. Anyone can do this with enough study, guys. Here, check it out.
And they work their way towards that. Whereas Comstar are centrally located and they've bought into their own mythology.
Yeah.
Like, they started out with the plan of the Foundation. And then they bought into the whole religious aspect.
And now they're all like, yeah, it's fucking magic. No, only we should fuck with this. You guys should go. Where this is magic, because they're using it as a way to control the technology and keep it for themselves.
Right.
It should be noted that they're called Comstar because they're the fucking phone company. Com stands for communication.
Yep.
Which says a lot about the state of AT&T and Ma Bell back in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But we both adore the BattleTech universe. Especially the early days of it. The very later stuff starts getting kind of dumb.
Even the early clan stuff's kind of all right, as long as the clans are used purely as a narrative.
Yes,
tool.
They're great. They're a great plot device.
Or if everyone's playing clanners. But I could see a game like that being fairly interesting.
I could see it, but at any rate,
yeah. As soon as you start like giving clan tech to your spear guys, or expecting like the one clanner with his fucking like mad cat to hang out with the bunch of like sphere mercs with their like 30-25 junk mechs. Yeah, that's when it all starts to fall apart.
Yeah, the game balance thing just the clan sort of unfortunately skewed things in ways that probably weren't best for the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But,
in your opinion, fucking science fact, dude, the clans broke the game.
It really
from a pure game balance point of view, they broke the fucking game.
It skewed it far too, they skewed the damage far too to basically the damage to the defense ratio got skewed too far.
Yeah, it
was a little bit too far in the other direction in 3025 tech. The game's a little bit too slow, but the damage mechanics are designed around lower damage and then what the clans can kick out by a noticeable margin. But at any rate, BattleTech was my sort of what got me into Mecha, and then after that, I started getting more into the various Mecha anime stuff. After that is when I rewatched Robotech and really enjoyed it. I'd watched Robotech when I was younger, but I was like, this is fun, but it didn't really sink into me as much as it did after I had been playing BattleTech for a few years.
Right.
And that's, I rediscovered
I'm just going to say that I am fucking, filled with jealousy that you got to rewatch Robotech before the friggin' 2000s.
Yeah. I don't remember how I did that either. I know I did.
Because all through high school, I was the only kid that watched Robotech in my growing up, and all through high school, I was convinced this was just a fever dream from my childhood. This wasn't a real thing.
Right.
And every once in a while, I'd find an artifact that proved maybe it was real, but nothing definitive.
Right. Whereas then
I got to college and met other people that watched Robotech.
Right. Well, I mean, for me, again, BattleTech was part of the reason I knew for a fact Robotech existed, because they, bought the image.
That's true. That is true. Yes. That was one of the artifacts. It's holy crap! That's a Zentradi battle pod. Wait a minute. But why is it here in this game manual?
Wait, that's a Veritech. That's another Veritech. That's Roy's Veritech.
What is it doing in this game manual for a thing that has nothing to do with this cartoon I remember from my childhood?
But yeah, I know I rewatched Robotech in the late '80s, early '90s, which is right about when I was getting to college. So, like late high school, early college, and yeah. So I really got into it, and
it's really weird because remember when Macross Plus came out in the mid to late '90s,
yeah.
And going, holy crap, this did exist. It's just no one else knows what the fuck it is.
Right.
During the whole anime invasion of the mid to late '90s.
Right.
Still couldn't find the original fucking Robotech or Macross, but I could find Macross Plus.
I think Robotech was out. I think it was out on VHS, basically.
Good luck finding it.
Oh, it was not easy to find it. I did have a group of friends. Like I knew people in college who had a bunch of people who had anime that they had gotten from various places. And there was a store in Boston that basically imported and sold that was basically had anime that was hard to get. I forget the name of the store. It was in the garage.
I remember hearing about this store and being jealous that I didn't have it back in Menden, the backwater burg that was only 2 hours away, but yet I could never reach this mythical place of Boston.
Yeah, and also Robotech did air on Toonami also.
It was before I had cable.
Yeah, same. But I had friends who had cable, and
Right.
the lounge in my college had cable, so
Right.
college dorm. So the advantages of being a bit older than Eric. I got to college and had access to cable for free. Well, free.
Yeah, I remember when we did eventually get cable when I was in high school, and we didn't get Cartoon Network despite the fact I really wanted it, but we did get the Sci-Fi Channel, which is almost as good. This is back when the Sci-Fi Channel was good.
Yeah, sci-fi. What, you mean it had sci-fi on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did anime blocks on Monday nights late, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember the late Monday night ones, but I do remember the Saturday ones.
It might have been Saturday.
Saturday morning ones.
Well, no, there was a nighttime one that they did. I know that.
Okay.
Where they showed more adult and more sort of grittier anime, I should say.
Dude, I watched Akira Saturday morning.
Fair point.
Saturday anime on Sci-Fi Channel and fucking Akira. I don't think they were too shy about it.
Well, no, they weren't, but they did show more. So a lot of the grittier stuff later in the evenings also.
Okay.
Akira was just so famous that
Right.
Yeah, I really got into. I really enjoyed a lot of the mecha stuff, and that's. They also did some other stuff too. I'm just trying to remember. But at any rate,
who did some other stuff? The Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, well, I'm not just talking about that, but I'm trying to remember. There's a bunch, but during the late '80s, early '90s, I was when I really got back into anime. When I discovered anime was a thing as opposed to these cartoons I watched when I was a kid.
Right.
I was like, oh, those were from
Holy
Japan.
shit, this is from Japan? That explains why it looks so different.
Right, and I remember introducing some of my friends to various ones, I watching through Star Blazers with friends, and all of us nearly dying of laughter due to some of the bad translations and changes. Chocolate cake, oh my god, I could not. I was unable.
You're
to breathe.
above us. Our space bombs are useless.
Yeah. Ooh, I love Star Blazers, but it had some truly just stellar what the fuck moments. And introducing my friends to Record of Lodoss War and the Slayers, another one that basically had all of us literally in stitches laughing.
Yeah, friggin' Record of Lodoss Wars. The Slayers I didn't run into until much, much later. But Record of Lodoss Wars, I remember, was not only on the Saturday anime block every once in a while, but the local video store had the first volume.
Yep.
And that was the terror of the 90s for anime. Like, any anime.
Oh, yeah, you could find, the first couple
You could find, the first volume, or maybe, the 7th, but you couldn't find a complete run anywhere.
No, yeah, it's video stores would have random videotapes of series. So you could watch, the first, you could, watch the first 3 episodes in, the 13th through 15th, and you're like, the fuck?
Yeah, I remember when Evangelion came out, the video store had, this is right when I got to college, before the internet when the internet was just starting to become a thing, and
Right.
streaming video hadn't happened yet.
Right.
But like the local video store had like two completely unconnected volumes of Evangelion. And it wasn't until I started hanging out with this what would now be called a complete otaku girl,
Uh-huh.
where she had the complete run. I got to watch it, and it was fucking awesome. She also lent me what's it called, Escaflowne, Vision of Escaflowne,
Oh,
which I also
Escaflowne.
loved.
I adore that one. Great mecha series.
Kind of amazed we never ended up dating. Thinking about it.
Oh God, yeah. A friend of mine in college is one who loaned me Record of Lodoss War and some Slayers tapes, so I could bring them back and show them to my friends back here. Yeah, like literally the first episode of Slayers I watched was the Sailor Family Feud episode, the one Pacifist Crush.
That is a good one.
Literally the first episode of Slayers I watched, I was dead laughing. It was just
Goodwill towards all men kick.
kindness towards all creatures kick. It's goodwill towards men.
That was
smash.
it. Yes.
Not that I'm a Slayers nerd, but I'm a Slayers nerd. But yeah, Escaflowne was one I watched at some point. I don't remember when, but didn't get back into it. Like I rewatched it recently, like a couple years ago, and was like, wow, it was better than I remembered it being, except the ending.
Except for the ending. Yeah. No, and here's the thing about Vision of Escaflowne. I remember it being in those promos to the beginnings of videos that I was watching.
Yes.
And be like, what is this? It's got magic giant robots fighting dragons. How have I not? Why is this not in my hands right now?
Yeah, Escaflowne was this brilliant combination of mecha and high fantasy, and I just like, oh my god,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it's just wonderful. And again, outside of the actual last episode, literally the last episode, like up until then,
You know what? I don't even remember what happens in the last episode. That tells you how much I disliked it. It is blocked from my mind like the friggin' Daredevil movie.
Yeah, the last episode it's like, okay, and then apparently apparently there was a love story going on between the two main characters that wasn't there for almost the entire series. And
There was shit tons of sexual tension there.
there really wasn't.
Like she was all about him. Come on, man.
Not really.
She was totally doing the whole tsundere thing.
No, it wasn't even tsundere. It was, she didn't dislike him. She just wasn't attracted to him. She didn't make points about disliking him, and he didn't show any actually romantic feelings towards her either. They worked together and were like trusted comrades, but there was no actual romantic things going on there.
It's true. She did have a thing for the blonde pretty boy.
Yes, who was actually a good guy too. It was
Yeah.
like
Did not stop me from hitting him like he was like the knob he was. He might have been a good guy, but that only made it worse.
he was too perfect. I mean, he's your classic Bishonen hero.
Yes.
Except that he wasn't the protagonist, which was kind of awesome.
Yeah. You had the schlubby prince who did not understand which end of a fork to hold.
But the main characters, the two main characters were interesting. The two main characters were they were interesting. They were good characters. It's just that all of a sudden it's and they were destined to love each other. Wait, what? Huh? What? That came out of nowhere.
No, I remember there being a lot of sexual tension. I'll have to go back and rewatch it, but I remember there being a lot of I totally don't like you, honest. Please notice me senpai kind of bullshit.
See, I don't remember. That wasn't there when I was watching it, but I normally am notice it because it annoys me usually.
Right.
So that's why I caught me off guard. It's I didn't hate the way these two interacted, so I was like, oh, okay. Wait, what? Okay, but ignoring that, the rest of the show's great. The villains. The villains had reasons for what they were doing, even if they were crazy.
It's so fucking crazy. It's so
go nuts
beautifully crazy. I'm going to rewrite Destiny with my friggin' giant steampunk cognition engine because I said so.
Yeah, it's what? Okay, sure. But yeah, I adored Escaflowne. It's. I mean, I actually I liked it better when I watched it when I was older.
Right.
Which it is not always the case. Looking at you, get a robo. Oh, that did not stand the test of time.
Yeah.
As I said, I recently tried, like last year, I tried rewatching Get a Robo. I got through like 5 episodes and said, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, I did the same thing with the original G.I. Joe.
Ooh,
Yeah, that does not.
no,
I mean, it was never like as cool as Transformers,
no.
but yeah.
Yeah, like Transformers doesn't stand up as well as I'd like it to.
It,
It's still
Transformers does have the
watchable.
occasional gem,
Oh,
but
it's still
yeah,
watchable. It's watchable still, but it's not. It doesn't have that sort of. That sort of.
as an adult, you sit there watching Transformers and you're like, why haven't you shot Starscream yet, Megatron?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like the writing in it just isn't as good as it got. Like it wasn't as good as the writing in the movie as an
Yeah,
example, and it wasn't nearly as good as the writing in Beast Wars.
yeah, yeah.
Like Beast Wars is only let down by its
And
animation.
I tried rewatching that, and
Oh, the animation's hard
the
to get through.
animation's so dated. It just
It gets
oh
better as
man,
the series goes along.
yeah, because the tech gets better.
Yeah, well, also they become better animators as they go along.
Right, and they get a bigger budget because it's doing really well.
So
All of those can combine to make for better animation later on, but
but getting through the first like 6 to 12 episodes is hard. If you
yeah.
like, it's easier
Oh
for me because
wow.
I'm not as much of an animation nerd as you are.
And even making allowances for the time period, it's still really fucking hard.
Oh, I totally get that.
It's like trying to watch fucking Food Fight, man.
Oh, yeah, it's bad early. Like it's not even like as good as Reboot's animation for the most part.
Yeah.
Early on. Later on, it gets up to that quality.
Yeah, because Reboot actually has like top of the line animation for the time period. At least as top of the line as can be expected for a television show.
Right. Whereas Beast Wars started out not great, and eventually they got
Yeah,
themselves.
Beast Wars started out like shoestring budget animation.
But the writing in that show,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
Wow,
oh my god.
When fucking like Ravage shows up, it's like holy shit.
I've got 3 words. Code of the hero. 4 words. Code of the hero.
Yeah, yeah. Dinobot goes out like a boss.
Whoa.
Like holy shit, go Dinobot.
That's his monologue, his soliloquy
Yeah.
is just. It's not a monologue. It's a soliloquy. It's just you realize, oh my god, he's the best.
He's the
probably
best Klingon, is what he is.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. But I was going to say I think the best written character in the entirety of the Transformers franchise.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Megatron's mocking. It's like, what are you? No weapons or anything, barely energy. What are you? A warrior still. It's like, yes.
Best Klingon.
Yes! I mean, that's the thing, is Dinobot is like exactly that. He is the epitome of what Klingons want to be.
Yes.
Like, honestly, you should,
Like wishes he could be as cool as Dinobot.
oh god, yeah. Like, I'm thinking about it, it's like, show that episode to, like if the Klingons actually existed, like, show that episode to a Klingon, they'd go, he's awesome.
Yeah.
There should be songs about him. He's not real. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter. They would claim they would claim Beast Wars as their own, the same way they do with Shakespeare.
Yep.
Clearly, this is a Klingon story that you somehow got a hold of. We'll translate it back to the original Klingon.
Yeah, oh god, I love Beast Wars to pieces. I mean, yeah, but it's not a mecha show, so we shouldn't dwell on it too much. But
Right.
the really interesting is like the renaissance of the mecha show that's happened over the past like 15 years or so.
Yeah, it really started with and there's always a Gundam show somewhere.
Right. So there's Gundam
Because
going
Gundam
on.
looms large over anime in general, much less than the.
Yeah, exactly. The mecha genre, absolutely.
But like the first glimmerings of it was with Gurren Lagann, like 6 years ago.
I want to say that Go Danner predates it, but I'm not positive.
It didn't have quite the same reception as.
No, it didn't in the States. I don't know about about Japan, but in the States, you're right. No, in the States, the one that really got everyone's attention was definitively Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
And I prefer Gurren Lagann to Go Danner. I mean, I know people who prefer Go Danner to Gurren Lagann.
I haven't actually seen Go Danner, which is unusual for me.
Go Danner is. I like Go Danner, but it's got some flaws in it that I.
Wait a minute, is that the one you showed me with the Russian chick?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some great characters in it, but it's
Yeah, there something about it like just didn't click correctly with me. Like
yeah.
I tried watching it subbed, I tried watching it dubbed, and both didn't quite work for me. Although
Like
the Russian chick was awesome.
she was great. The Go was pretty cool. The main male character.
Right. And the main female character was just sort of there.
She was okay. She gets better as the show goes along.
Okay.
It's a very fan servicey show,
Which doesn't bother me as long as it's like tongue in cheek.
it's almost Guy Next level. I mean,
Right. I don't mind Gynax. Like they're usually their fan service is often and egregious, but at least it's almost always done as a gag.
usually, the problem with Guy Next is that a lot of their writing leaves me cold. But
I totally grok that. Trust me.
some of their stuff, like freaking Guy.
There are times that like, holy crap, that is a well animated breast.
Sometimes that is not a well animated breast.
Sometimes that is a balloon on a stick.
Yeah, but Gurren Lagann is Gynax at its best. Gurren Lagann is like Gynax at its best, like literally.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great show. Like that show is filled with fuck yeah moments.
Outside of episode 4 and the first few episodes of the second half of the show.
Yeah, but I'll give a pass on the first few episodes of the second half of the show because they're setting everything up for the.
I know.
It's all set up in character stuff, which I like.
I normally like it, but it was a little bit, it drug on a bit much.
Yeah, and it kind of paints Rasu as a little bit too much of a.
Yeah.
He wasn't as smart as he should have been. Rasu's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And like some of the shit he pulls is like, come on, man, you're smarter than that. You know how to handle this.
Whereas, the fourth episode it's the one where they basically
they have a guest animator who and a guest director, both of which the change in styles is jarring is the problem.
It's completely jarring and it's technically well animated, but it doesn't work somehow.
Yeah.
I look at it like, okay, the technique is good, but for some reason it just doesn't work. It's like the pieces that they're animating don't fit together properly.
It's the change in style is very jarring, and it's very clear. And yes, it's technically it's great. It's actually better than a lot of the other show from a purely technical point of view. But it just
doesn't work. It's just
it's a really beautiful flopping fish, is what it is.
And the really awful thing about it is it's a plot critical episode.
Yeah, because it introduces a vital character.
It's like, what? Hi! Oh God, why?
You can't just skip it.
Right, the writing in it's also not very good either. It's like,
yeah, the writing is poor in that episode.
Oh my God! But yeah, but the rest of the show is really good.
And like I said, that show is what Michael Bay wishes he could make.
Oh God, yeah.
Like Michael Bay wishes he was cool enough to make this show.
Gurren Lagann is literally it's got the going over the top pedal, push to the floor the entire time, with only a couple of breaks, literally those two.
And
episodes.
It's completely fucking earnest.
Yeah,
it makes you give a fuck about everything that happens.
It's not. The thing is, it's not. It's it's over the top, and it knows it's over the top, but it's also it's you're right. It's not just that it's earnest. It's that it's both earnest and it's acknowledging the flaws in a lot of the classic mecha anime shows, but it loves them anyways.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this is fucking stupid, but you know what? Stupid is another word for awesome.
Right.
That is the show in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Stupid is another word for awesome. But it took a couple of years for another good show to come rolling around. But then there's the sort of steady creep of mecha shows.
Yep.
Of both good and bad. I've seen a bunch of them.
I mean, there are a bunch of ongoing reboots of various anime mecha series also that have been going on forever. There've been a bajillion Manzinger shows.
So many goddamn fucking Gundams.
Yeah, the Gundam, as we mentioned, is omnipresent. I think Guy King's gotten 2 or 3 reboots.
I've seen at least one reboot of Guy King,
Yeah.
not the original. Like I've seen parts of the original but it's so way back in like the misty
Yeah.
memories of childhood. It kind of gets mixed up
Right.
with like the everything else.
Yeah, but like, and but as I mentioned, like Godanner's there. There's a bunch of, technically speaking, Evangelion's a mecha show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Evangelion definitely counts as a
Absolutely.
mecha. And it one of the things I like about that show is that it's like you have your typical 14-year-old mech pilot, and it goes, how would a 14-year-old actually handle all this shit?
Yeah.
And my problem with Shinji is ends up in exactly the same place where he fucking started out.
There's no character growth for him.
There's no character growth to him. Asuka, there's a tremendous amount of character growth. Rey has a bunch until they reset her.
Yeah, it's Evangelion has writing problems. Serious
I'm a
writing
lot more
problems.
forgiving of it than you are. Part of it's nostalgia.
Yeah.
Part of it's the fact that it's so. It gets so bizarrely abstract in places, and I appreciate that.
I could appreciate it if the writing was better. Like, you're talking to someone who adores 2001.
Fair enough.
And if you want to talk about getting fucking abstract, Evangelion's got squat on 2001. But you know what? 2001 was written by Arthur C. fucking Clarke.
Dude, yeah, no, we are not comparing this to
No, we're not, but I'm just
2001,
pointing- I'm just
we know
pointing out-
who's going to win.
Right. But I'm just
One
pointing
is
out...
Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley fucking Kubrick.
Right. And so I'm generally forgiving about. I'm just saying I love abstract stuff sometimes, but it's not the bits where it goes abstract that it bothers me. It's the character writing is just so erratic and
well, part of that is they well documented. Shall we say, going off his meds of the director?
yes, he went batshit insane,
Yeah.
basically.
He literally did go off his meds.
Literally.
But like even, I don't know. I'm a lot more forgiving of Evangelion. Here's the thing though. There was an anime that came out not long after it that did everything Evangelion.
I know what you're talking about it, and we've both seen it. We both love it.
Yes, Razafon.
Oh my god, that show is. I watched it. I was like,
Wings.
I was watching it. I'm like, wait a minute. This is Evangelion, except it doesn't suck.
Yes.
I don't hate this show. And then the ending started coming. I'm
There's
like, oh
actual
god.
character growth.
And the ending started happening. I'm like, oh god, it's going full Evangelion. Wait, it didn't go full Evangelion. The ending actually is weird and bizarre, but it makes fucking sense.
You know what really sold me?
And it
on
grows
that-
out of the rest of the story.
What really sold me on that show is the episode where he's outside of the pocket dimension,
Right?
and he's with the girl he's run away with.
Yep.
And then the mech attacks. And as he's fighting it, because there's this whole weird thing where people from this particular pocket dimension are linked to mechs, and it's sort of random what happens. Something the characters don't know yet, but that has been explained to the audience. He's fighting the mech, and every time he hits the mech, like, lights in buildings go up that spell out things like "I love you" or "that hurts" or other shit. And it's just like, oh, wow, this is... Ow!
Yeah.
Ow! The main character doesn't notice this, because he's too busy fighting this mech. They were just trying to fucking kill him.
Right.
Meanwhile, his girlfriend is in the hotel room getting the shit knocked out of her through the sympathetic pain from her linked mech,
Yeah.
which is deployed with no regard for her well-being by the rulers of this horrible dimension.
It's amazing. If you've not seen Razifon, and if there's anything, if you like
Yeah,
anything in Evangelion, if you like any of the concepts in Evangelion, watch Razifon. Just watch Razifon if you like Mecha. It's really interesting.
It's sort of this weird. It's very much a magic mecha show.
It is, absolutely.
And that the mechs have absolutely no bearing on actual physics or what they can do, even more so than your average mecha show.
Absolutely.
They are definitively magic mecha. I think they're even like, yeah, there's like all sorts of wacky quantum, and there's this whole thing with like singing and whatnot.
It's weird, but it's really
it's
cool.
weird, but it's good.
Oh my god, that was a show that told me, okay, Mecha, like between that and Gurren Lagann, like Mecha are back.
Yeah,
And the thing is, it's amazing how people actually know. That I've talked to know about Razafon. It's like,
it totally flew under a bunch of people's radar. Aaron Cook actually introduced me to that show. I was like, oh wow, this is really good. I don't know if it's better than Evangelion, but it's really good. Partially because it does not have the clear window into insanity that Evangelion has.
okay, fair point. I can accept that. I disagree with you, but on the quality, but I can accept that. I would say definitively Razafon's better written.
Yes, Razafon is better written. Razafon is definitely better written. It's better animated because it comes out several years later,
Yep.
and the advances of tech. Doesn't have the well documented budget problems that Evangelion had.
Nope. It resolved its story completely.
Yes,
Because
but there's something about watching the clear and obvious descent into madness of the director that makes, I think, purely as a piece of art, I think Evangelion might be better.
maybe I can't.
Except fucking Shinjime has no character growth. I can't say that enough.
See.
Like,
I
Simon and Gurren Lagann starts out as sort of a Shinji clone, but you know what? Pretty soon he is the most badass motherfucker in the show.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I think again with Evangelion, it's the where our approaches are coming to it.
Yeah.
Because you.
Oh,
Again,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm much more of a literary person than you are.
Yeah.
You're much,
definitely approaching it from a literary point of view with like the conventions of good writing and good cinematography and whatnot. You know, all the things that one normally applies to a television show.
right. I mean, I freely admit there are plenty of things that I think are from a writing and production standpoint terrible that I love. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension leaps to mind. One of my favorite terrible movies, and I love it unironically because it's just so gloriously stupid. It's great. But the thing is, I think for me, the reason I can't handle Evangelion is the level of pretentiousness it has. Because it thinks it's deeper than it is.
You want pretension? Watch fucking Ego Proxy
Okay.
or Ergo Proxy.
I've not watched that, so
It's well animated, particularly for the time. It's got some really interesting ideas, but oh my god, is it fucking pretentious. Like, holy crap, it is like late 70s William Shatner pretentious.
ooh, wow. I'd hate the fuck out of that, probably. But anyways, we should talk a bit more about mecha and gaming, though, because
Yeah.
That's
the thing. Like, outside of BattleTech, I have not seen mecha done well in gaming.
Yeah, like there are video games that do it okay sometimes.
Oh yeah, like plenty of video games do it well. Like I'm first thing that leaps to mind is the Armored Core series.
Yeah, that's I was thinking of that.
Like, fucking love the hell out of that series. That got me through high school.
Yeah,
That Dungeons and Dragons got me through high school.
There was some good. There's
and drugs and alcohol.
There's a really good fighting game in the early '90s that was originally free shareware and such, called One Must Fall, which was a giant robot fighting game. Which
That's
was really
pretty
cool.
awesome.
It's pretty freaking cool. It's
It's the first I've heard of it.
Really? I've not told you about this before?
No.
How have I not told you about this before?
Dude, it's called One Must Fall. It's clear what it's referencing.
Oh my god, I'll have to show you this at some point. It's amazing. It's actually a good game. Like the music's fantastic. Some of the robot designs are really cool. Some of them are dubious. But yeah, but outside of that, like, it's really interesting because if you think about it, like, especially like the sort of more Japanese influenced mecha shows, you'd think that would be sort of a fertile ground for role playing games.
Yeah, but it's...
I mean, they exist. I mean, there's a bajillion sort of licensed Gundam role playing games. I think I'm not positive. I know that there've been a couple of different Macross ones / Robotech.
Looking at you, Palladium. That's the problem. Palladium has such a lock on that fucking genre.
And Big Eye Small Mouth had a supplement for mecha stuff. They had both mecha and giant spaceships. I couldn't resist buying the book because it was titled "Giant Robots and Cool Spaceships" or something like that. It's like
We should play that at some time.
if 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 Big Eye Small Mouth is a better system, yes. Also, I don't know where my books are.
What's it called? Oh, why can't I remember it? Done by DreamPod 9.
Heavy Gear.
Heavy Gear. And the Jovian Chronicles, which is the much more much more Gundam style version of it.
Yeah,
both of those are decent.
I suspect I would like those better as a role playing game standpoint than I did for the war game that I tried when I tried playing.
Oh yeah, no, not as a war game at all. No.
I know a lot of people really loved Heavy Gear as a war game. I was not sold.
I was not sold, particularly after fucking Akeem and his dice.
But you be looking at it like that whole sort of connection between the character and their mech is just like absolutely perfect for a role playing game.
Oh, absolutely, particularly from like the like we said, the Japanese style.
That's what I'm talking about specifically.
Right. Of course, I should have picked up on that. You know what's weird about Robotech? Does not have that.
No, it doesn't. Well, it does
because
sort
it's
of
military hardware.
Yeah, except for like the later pilots they started introducing, like Max with his blue Veritech.
Yeah, and Mario with her red one,
yeah,
and her battle armor,
and
sexy battle armor,
right? And Chiron the Backstabber in his
and his officer's battle pod, yeah,
which is technically a standard mech, but he's the only one you really see piloting it.
You see a couple others, but they get blown up pretty quick.
Whereas Chiron's around forever because he's Chiron the fucking Backstabber.
Chiron the Backstabber, like. Having Chiron die any way other than taking out the SDF-1 would have been a narrative crime against humanity.
I got a question, Eric. How does one actually get the epithet the Backstabber?
By being a dick.
But and still be and not have other people have other people in your military get rid of you.
Because he gets results.
Yeah, that's
what all this Andrade really care about is results.
I also got the impression that Britai basically was like, okay, look, I'm going to send you on these important, dangerous missions, and hopefully he won't come back.
Oh yeah, that's totally Are you kidding? That's totally Britai's plan. It's like Backstabber, huh? Well, I know what your job is.
Oh, he succeeded. Excellent. Didn't die.
Oh, good. It's a strategic win for me and a moral loss.
All right, Chiron, go do this mission over here. That will totally not get you killed. Please get killed. Oh, he didn't. He succeeded though. Okay, good.
There is that one episode where Chiron executes an unsanctioned attack on the SDF-1, and Britai's like, "Oh, gotta yank the leash because that motherfucker. If I let him go with this, he's just not gonna. You just can't control him."
Right.
So he executes the mandatory recall on all the mechs, getting half of them destroyed because. Fuck you, Chiron.
Yep. But yeah, like I look at this stuff and it's like it's very clearly a fertile ground for a tabletop game or for I'm starting to start more like computer role playing games with that sort of as a core.
You've got a bit of that.
There's some in Japan, I know that, but there aren't that many in the States.
I'm reminded of Zone of the Enders.
Okay.
There's a great video game series from like the late '90s, early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
Where you'd fly around in this mech, which had a literal cockpit.
Right.
And as you leveled up, the mech would level up, and you'd fly around and blow shit up and whatnot. And not going to go too much into the plot because you really should play it. It's kind of an artifact at this point.
Right.
But it's kind of like an important one.
Yeah, I'm certain that there are a bunch of Japanese video games along those lines. I just don't know them as well. They just don't seem as popular in the States.
Because they're
like the Gundam.
Finding a good mech video game in the States is fucking hard.
Well, the Gundam PlayStation games are pretty good. And I know that they did a Gundam Dynasty Warriors game,
which I haven't been able to find, which I desperately want. Because
I can only imagine this is like your cup of tea exactly.
This is exactly what I want to do with my free time. I want to get in fucking Char Anzabel's fucking Red Comet and run around blowing shit up. That's all I want to do with my life.
But yeah, I've actually tried running mecha games before. I've never really gotten them completely off the ground. I don't know why.
There's sort of a inherent weirdness with mecha games.
Yeah.
It doesn't always click with everyone.
Yeah, the only ones I've had any success with is when doing BattleTech, but that's because I think BattleTech's really well suited for it.
Yeah, BattleTechs are really well suited for it, and you've got FASA world building on your side.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I almost forgot Xenogears. But again, that's sort of a Japanese thing, really.
Oh yeah. That's the one I was trying to think of. Where you spend 40 hours trying to get a mech, and then the mech isn't as good as just running around on foot. But it's a fucking mech, so of course you use it.
But yeah, Xenogears, it's a really good game, honestly. It's long, though, if I remember correctly.
It's stupendously long. I never finished it. I had like an old... I had one of the early PlayStation ones I had.
I
think it was something else.
I have it here in my drawer of PS1 games.
Yep,
right there.
That must be it. Yeah, I never actually finished it, which is weird because
that's not
finished
Xenogears.
everything on
Where's
PS1.
my copy of Xenogears? Oh, I know. It's over there somewhere. It's not in the drawer. It's on my bookshelf.
Yeah. I don't even know what happened to all my PS1 games. I know my PS1 got played into the ground.
Yeah.
Which my PS2.
Yeah, I at some point I'm going to play through some of my PS1 games on my PS3.
I should see about getting a PS2, a new PS2, because god damn it, Robotech Battle Cry was a fucking awesome game.
Well, I got mine. The one I had, which I gave to a friend of mine after I got the PS3. Mostly because I just don't have room to have that many multiple consoles in my apartment, realistically. But you can get them on eBay for reasonably cheap, I think. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, because I remember I loved Robotech Battle Cry. That was a great fucking game. And not just because it was Robotech, because it was actively good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've not played it myself, but yeah, it's interesting how, like, as much as I do love Mecha, I don't play that many Mecha games outside of BattleTech. Really,
yeah, the same here, and it's weird, and yeah, because I would love to play it in a heavy gear RPG, but don't point me at it as a war game, because if I'm going to look at it, I'm going to go, does not work as a war game. I could be playing War Machine or God Help Me 40K.
Yeah. But yeah, so needless to say, there's just something really. We should start wrapping things up, honestly, because we've been running a bit long. But I do think that there's definitely something that just speaks to a lot of people about Mecha, and it's that sort of personal connection between the pilot and the mech. It's sort of
the same thing as dinosaurs, honestly. It's this big avatar of your feelings, except this one's made out of metal and has guns, and is therefore better. So
yeah, but I'm just sort of thinking about. I think part of the I do there's that, but I think part of the reason it resonates so much with so many people is it's that sort of, again, the sort of personalization and extension of the character.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things about BattleTech and MechWarrior is that the building your mech. This is your mech. It's got the loadout you want. Yeah, it's got the same hull as these 10 other guys, but you know what? It's got, like, you replaced the large laser with the PPC. You upped the armor and stripped out the LRM-20 for a pair of SRM-6s because you want to go up and brawl. And, you know, that kind of shit.
Yep.
It says Eric, speaking from experience.
So, yeah. But yeah, there's definitely something about that, and I think it really does. It does apply well to games a lot, and I would like to see more of it in gaming, honestly. And it's one of the things that if I could think of a way to do it, well, I don't know if I can. I've tried a couple times. I've not done it successfully outside of doing it in BattleTech, but I do want to try to do something a bit more cinematic at some point, and it's something I got to keep trying to fiddle with at some point.
I will tell you this: my mech will not look nothing like a Zaku 2, because it will be painted a different color.
Right, absolutely. But I think that's going to do it for this week. Needless to say, as we wrap up, we both love Mecha,
Oh yeah, like seriously, there is something wrong with you as a human being if you don't like the idea of getting inside a giant humanoid robot and destroying your enemies. Science fact.
Yeah, so normally we leave time at the end of each show for viewer questions. We've run long today, so we're not going to do viewer questions. But if you do have questions, as I said, we usually try to save time at the end of each episode for some. And you can email them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Or you can post them on our forums, which you can find at mechagm.forum or .com. Or if you're listening to the recording of this on YouTube, just leave a question in the comments, and we'll try to get it working into the show. You could also, I guess, hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @mechagm. We record the show every Monday night on twitch.tv/mechagm at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you've got feedback for us, ways we can improve the show, things we're doing right, things we're doing wrong, let us know in any of those places. We'd really appreciate it. If you got show topic suggestions, we really love those. They make us doing this much, much easier.
Yes,
because,
absolutely.
it means we don't have to think up topics on our own. But more importantly, we actually get to address the topics you guys want to hear about. So you can let us know in any of those places. surlygrognards@yahoo.com, mechagm.former.com, on YouTube, youtube.com/mechagm is the channel, or on Twitter. Or I guess you could send me a Twitch message if you really want to on my Twitch account. Other than that, I think that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really love you guys, and spread the word. If you've got more people watching, the better. That way we have more feedback. We make the show better. More topic suggestions, more questions, etc. Spread the
All
word,
that
guys.
good shit.
So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week with some damn fool topic about something or other. Maybe dinosaurs. I don't know.
Woo!
Bye, everybody.
You do a show on kaiju.
I think we did a show on kaiju.
Did we do a show on kaiju?
I don't know. I'll go look at the topics again. Anyways, bye, everybody.